Hello, sorry for getting this up so late. Hopefully you have time to watch it. So for this one I had in chapter 9 for both understanding concepts and concepts as theories. So understanding concepts was what you first read in chapter 9, which is basically all about concepts. So it started off with, I guess, trying to illustrate what a concept is and how to define a concept. It talked about how, your friend had a spoon or a shoe and you thought he was dumb, but really, it's like it mentions just below that, they're building blocks. So, concepts that you start out with early in life you'll build on, and it's important for you to know those early concepts because without that knowledge you wouldn't be able to build upon anything, and making categories would be really hard. You wouldn't be able to put things in those categories. Organization would just be crazy if that's not how our brains worked. So we recognize a concept for what it is, and then we use that as building blocks to grow off of, basically, is what I got from this first little part here. It got to where I was talking about family resemblances as far as concepts go. And while I was reading this chapter, I was thinking about the job that I do currently. I just got a new, task at my job where I have to work for the warehouse correcting shipping addresses. And I guess I kind of thought I could tie this in because an address is a concept. It tells you where somebody lives. That's how you find them. And this concept has general basic principles that in most addresses you're going to see. So you've got like the street address, the house number, city, state, zip. That's your pretty average shipping address for the United States, at least. So that's your concept. And the family resemblance in that is you being able to recognize these different parts in order to put it together. Now, some customers decide that they don't care about the format that we provide them with, and they just kind of put whatever they want wherever, and it's my job to go through to recognize each of those different elements in the resemblance and then put it together again to make it actually function. So I am taking the concept of an address and how I understand that, recognizing the different parts of it, and then turning it into what our system, and generally most people, would recognize as an address. I don't know if this is a great idea because addresses really can differ and a lot of them don't really look like each other, but generally that's what they are. That's a concept. It's a pain in the butt sometimes. So that was the understanding concepts, and then I had concepts as theories. Let me pull it up real quick. So it was talking about theories. And how theories connect the concepts that we have, I guess. So what I thought of as an example for this is, I know I've talked about it before, but I'm learning German. One of the things you have to wrap your head around when you're learning a new language is how that language functions and how the different parts of learning that language come together to form it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the different concepts of learning the language come together as the theory of the language. Again, I don't know if that's a good example, but that's what I came up with. So let me see here. So it got talking about how you recognize things. Like it talked about prototypes and like a raccoon prototype and how you know what that is based on what you have observed. I think it also talked about like if you saw somebody's dog, and you're able to know a lot about that dog because you understand the concept of a dog. Let me pull it up so I can actually. Yeah, so because you know all this information, because you know the concepts beforehand, you can get a lot of information that you wouldn't otherwise know. I like how it talked about how quickly we're able to connect ideas in the Zaps thing we did. That the more, I guess, outlandish things are, the longer it takes for our brain to process, but that's entirely true, you know. You know all this information, but it does take a little bit longer. But as far as these theories go, and as far as like my example of learning German would go, is, you know, in this theory is included like the subject of your sentence, your verb, your, you know, other nouns, if you've got any adjectives. Each one of these are separate ideas that you can define separately. And alone they function. You're able to, you know, kind of picture what each of these things are. You know where they would go, but they don't do much alone. They just provide definitions alone. But to make this theory work, you have to combine all these, and then you know a lot more just through like context even. I guess that would be my example for this part. Let me see here. So it talked about, let me see. It talked about how things are separated in the brain. It talked about how different types of information are essential for different concepts. So, of course, our brain separates things in certain ways. And depending on how our brain separates them, it might take longer to retrieve that information, it might take less time, which can have a lot to do with how you use the information. And your brain obviously has different ways of knowing stuff, but some of it is subjective. But yeah, good chapters. Sometimes hard to read, but good chapters. So yeah.